As humans, we are addicted to suffering. It sounds strange, but it's true. We've gotten used to keeping our minds occupied with painful thoughts, worries, and fears. We cling to intense emotions as if they are the only thing that reminds us we're alive, even if that life is full of anguish. Why do we do this? Because suffering has something peculiar, almost seductive about it. It tricks us into thinking we need it to feel complete. Let me tell you my story. A few years ago, I almost ruined my marriage. It wasn't some epic movie moment. With complex betrayals and international espionage, it was more of a clumsy mistake from someone who at that time had no control over himself. I was drunk, because, yes, I still drank back then, and I sent a message to someone from my past. I did it, and my wife found out before anything else happened, and, as expected, it all blew up into a million pieces. The argument we had was the kind that Hollywood would love to film. Drama, intensity, tears, tension. It had it all. Until the worst part came. She decided to take some time apart. And that's when my addiction to suffering started. Because in my mind, it wasn't just about messing up, it was the obsessive idea that she would do the same or worse. And yes, this had me glued to my phone as if I were a private detective in the middle of an investigation. Who is she talking to? Who is she texting? What is she doing? I became my own worst enemy. I wasn't sleeping well, wasn't eating well, and everything in my life revolved around that irrational fear. But you know what the worst part was? Even though it was hell, part of me enjoyed it. Yes, you heard that right. That pain, that anxiety, kept me in a constant state of alertness. It was like a drug that gave me purpose. I need to find out what she's doing. I need to know if she's hurting me like I hurt her. Madness. And the worst part was that I wasn't happy, but I didn't want to let go of it. Why? Because suffering has something addictive about it. It makes us feel like we're living intensely, even if it's the worst way possible. There's something in suffering that hooks us. It sounds odd, but it's real. It's as if our mind says, you know what would be great? Feeling miserable for weeks on end, and bam, there we are, going over and over what hurts like we're watching the same episode of a dramatic series, but in infinite repeat mode. The worst part is that, even though we know it's hurting us, our mind seems to not want to let go of it. We convince ourselves that we need to solve what hurts us, as if suffering gives us a sense of purpose. For example, we obsess over thoughts like, what if I lose my job? What if they betray me? What if I'm not enough? And in that process, we get so caught up in the what if that we stop living in the present. The irony is that most of the time, none of that ever happens, or even if it does, we can't do anything about it. Yet we keep torturing ourselves with worry. Have you noticed how we cling to suffering without realizing it? We complain, lament, repeat over and over again what bothers us. And we do all this because of that almost compulsive need to feel intense. Pain makes us feel like we're being aware of what's happening, that we're taking control, when in reality, we're just trapped in an endless cycle of distress. This is like an emotional addiction, a pattern that can start without us even noticing. Jealousy, fear of abandonment, insecurity, these are all examples of how our minds can become addicted to negative emotions. And when we're stuck in it, we don't see a way out. We think we need to live in that state, that without that intense emotion, something would be missing. In my case, that addiction to suffering was like an invisible force keeping me stuck in a destructive spiral. I knew I was ruining my life, that everything I was doing wasn't leading anywhere, but I still couldn't stop. I didn't want to let go of that anxiety. I didn't want to release the drama. Until one day, something changed. A wake-up call, an internal shake that made me realize I couldn't keep going down that path. I decided to change. Not because it was easy, but because I realized that my life couldn't keep going like this. It was a wake-up moment. It's time to be a real man, I told myself. And that meant making difficult but necessary decisions. To stop living in constant suffering, I had to change my focus, my habits, and the way I viewed life. Here are 3 things that helped me get out of that vicious cycle. Exercise. I needed to move, tire myself out, release all that toxic energy somehow. The gym became my refuge. There, I not only worked on my body, but I cleared my mind as well. Quit alcohol. Because let's be honest, alcohol only fueled bad decisions and uncontrolled emotions. I decided to eliminate it from my life to gain more clarity and self-control. Personal growth. This was when I found Buddhism and Stoicism. These philosophies gave me a whole new perspective on life, emotions, and self-control. It wasn't that suffering wasn't going to come. It was that I could approach it in a healthier way. Today, I look back and see that that situation which almost destroyed me was actually the push I needed to become a better person. It's hard to believe, but I realize that suffering doesn't have to be our enemy. We can learn to live with it, to see it from a healthier place, and use it as a catalyst for personal growth. And now I want to invite you to reflect. Have you ever felt trapped in suffering without even realizing it? Have you experienced that feeling of not wanting to let go of the drama because somehow it makes you feel alive? Maybe it sounds familiar, or maybe not. But if you've ever felt stuck in this cycle, I want you to know you're not alone. The good news is that you can change. You can start today. If this reflection resonated with you, if you've seen yourself in any part of my story, subscribe to Daily Stoic Reflections. Like the video if you think this topic can help someone else, and share your experience in the comments. I'd love to know what you think about this subject and how you faced your own moments of suffering. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next reflection.